Oh, this is a good one. This is our first real brilliant group.
Yeah,
This is fantastic. This is everything you want in a World Cup group, without being able to call it a group of death, really. Group C, we have Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, and Scotland. Um, you got to begin with Brazil, really, because it's probably
absolutely.
for me one of the most fascinating question marks about this World Cup. The last two World Cups, Brazil have gone in. Well, actually, the last five World Cups, Brazil have gone in as favourites. 20, I think, especially 2018 and 2022. They reached quarterfinals both times. They'd sort of breezed into the quarterfinals. They looked really good. Neymar was on fire. Everyone was saying Brazil are going to win it. 2018, they play Belgium. Probably only Belgium and France beat Brazil at the 2018 World Cup. I think maybe Croatia, but I still think Brazil win that. That was
I think Brazil would have topped
a
Croatia,
really
but
good
yeah,
Brazil team. And they were just that Brazil Belgium game was fantastic, and that was the best game in Belgium's history, and it might will be forever. And then 2022, they absolutely dominated Croatia. They couldn't score. Neymar scores what should have been one of the most iconic World Cup goals, but then it isn't because Croatia equalise and win on penalties. Because of course they
yeah.
do. You can't concede in the 120th minute and then win on penalties. You can't do that. You can't do it. Um, and I think that 2022 loss was a big heartbreaker for Brazil as a nation because they really believed.
Yeah,
Um,
but that's the thing that they so often believe because history makes it so. I mean, there's a reason why they have more World Cups than anyone else.
yeah, that was a
And
fantastic Brazil
strangely,
team, though. It really was.
yeah. But strangely, I think almost sadly, I don't have high hopes for Brazil anymore. I no longer expect that much from Brazil, which
Yeah.
just seems disappointing, but also just it's been a long time coming.
And that's,
I think the
yeah,
I just think the country never really recovered from that home defeat in 2014 to Germany. I think that it's probably the most shocking game in the history of the sport, I would
yeah.
say. And I think these are
Which
wounds that
in
take a long time to heal.
in hindsight, it really isn't that shocking because it was a Brazil team that had been carried by Thiago Silva in his prime, who was suspended for that game,
Yeah.
and Neymar in his
Oh, that's
absolute
right.
prime,
Yeah.
who missed the
Who was
game through
injured.
injury. So their two best
Yeah.
players by
Yeah.
far were both
Hmm.
out. They were relying on
Yeah.
David Luiz and Paulinho
At the
and
back.
Hulk
Yes.
and Oscar and
Yeah.
Fred. And it was a
Yeah.
rubbish Brazil team that was carried by a couple of the best players in the world and the
And
home
an
field
excellent
advantage
German team as well.
and one of the best German teams of all time. Every
Yeah.
position was
Yeah.
just stacked. But
Yeah.
7-1 is
Yeah.
crazy in Brazil.
It is, yeah, in Brazil, the country that cares, I would say, almost more than any other country, just because the sheer population size and and just the culture of it. I mean, it was devastating.
And this is what it leads us into because this is, let's say, since 2002, which what people forget is although they had Ronaldo and Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, Roberto Carlos, Cafu, Lucio, Kaká, must I go on? One of the greatest international teams of all time. Going into 2002, Brazil were about sixth, seventh favourites because they were in such poor form. And this is the lowest expectations there have been on a Brazil team since then. I would
Yeah,
argue the expectations are even lower now than they were then,
I definitely think
um,
they're even lower now.
which
Yeah.
is crazy. But you've got to remember that the last time Brazil went into a World Cup not as the favourites, they won it, and that was the last time they won it.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's the longest they've ever gone without winning it.
yes, so that there's a lot of sort of superstitious stuff. I think
Yeah.
the things in their favour, they have, I would say, the best centre back partnership in international football in Marquinhos and Gabriel. If if
Yeah.
Allison is fit, that is massive. It's a big if because he's probably going to miss the rest of the season for Liverpool.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
Allison doesn't play, you're looking at Edison. Before that, as a backup, looked pretty good. Now he's at Fenerbahce, and
Yes,
he's not what he once
he's
was.
a ghost of what he once was, unfortunately.
You have Bruno Guimaraes in the midfield, who is arguably one of the best central midfielders in the Premier League. You have Rafinha, who is one of the best players in the world. You have Vinicius
Yeah.
Jr., who on his day is one of the best players in the world. You
Mm.
have such exciting attackers like Estevao and Joao Pedro and Mateus Cunha and Igor Thiago has done so well at Brentford this year. And yet there is a sense of they could make the quarterfinals. Are they likely to make it past the quarterfinals? Probably not.
I think
Um,
a semi-final place would be seen as an overachievement for them.
and I think, there's the Ancelotti question as well, because you've got all the
Yeah,
Real Madrid
yeah.
players. Rodrigo, of course, will miss the World Cup through injury. But will that mean that they unlock the best of Vinicius Jr. in a Brazil shirt? Finally, they've been waiting for it for ages.
It's not happened yet.
Um, but if Vinicius Jr. and Rafinha are on form, who's going to stop that?
Yeah.
That
Well,
is one of
exactly.
the most
Yeah,
deadly attacking duos you could
yeah.
ask for.
And I think that's why Carlo Ancelotti is such a clever choice to manage them because the reason he succeeded so well at Real Madrid when so many other managers, like we've seen with Alonso recently, don't get it to work, is because he was great at figuring out a way of letting the best players just go and do their thing in a system that almost never works with any other team. And I think that's always what Brazil are going to be. They're going to be a collection of outstanding individuals more than a really effective core system like you see in with Spain at the moment, for example. And they have incredible talent out wide with those two. And we've still yet to see it work, particularly for Vinicius Jr.
Mm.
I think we see this a lot in international teams where they can't ever replicate their club form because then they work so well in a certain system and they can't replicate it when in a different
And
setup.
then you have
But
players
my
like Miroslav Klose and Xherdan Shaqiri and Olivier Giroud who are like international football
Yes,
merchants.
exactly. Yeah. Where it's completely flipped. And I just think that a lot of these Brazil players, unfortunately, I think they're so integral to their club teams, but playing such different systems that it's so hard to get it all gelling again when they all form together.
I'm so interested to watch them play, though. I can't wait. It's going to be
Yeah,
brilliant
yeah.
because this group is just brilliant because you've got Brazil. Brazil instantly makes a group a must watch, right? Because the yellow shirt, the
Yes,
fans, the
yeah.
vibes. It's a North American World Cup, so I reckon a lot of fans will be traveling, even with the
Yes, I
financial
think that's a
stuff.
huge factor that it is somewhat closer for their fans to come and see them. I think I think that
The South
there
Americans
is
in general are
no
going to come in droves for this World Cup.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly. And in my opinion, there are no better fans in football than the South Americans.
yeah. And what is so tantalizing about this group is I mean, I'm excited for every game, but I'm going to spoil it. That Brazil Morocco, that as a group game is amazing. And if you're
Yeah.
wondering like why am I getting excited about Morocco, you're not been paying attention. World Cup semi-finalists at the last World Cup. We're not even going to get into that AFCON final because that was
Yeah.
ridiculous, but we're not even going
Ridiculous.
to go there. Aside
Yeah,
from all that nonsense, Morocco are easily a top 15 team at this tournament.
yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
people would make the argument for top 10. Brahim Diaz has been added. Yassin Ben Sagir has been added to the team that reached the semi-finals of the World Cup.
Yeah.
They've still got the majority that they haven't got Hakim Ziyech, but he was already, he was playing an integral role, but it was very much a managed role where he wasn't doing much running. Um, and I think one of the most talented African teams we've ever seen.
I was just about to say that. I think we are looking at in this side one of, if not the greatest African side we've ever seen in international football.
And what's amazing is there is another African team at this tournament that is just as, if not more talented, which is amazing. So Brazil and Morocco, two, I would say, top 15 teams at this tournament easily. They're facing each other in the opening group match as well, which makes it so much better because, there's not a sense of, oh, they might be playing for a draw or whatever. They're both going to be going for it. You got Haiti, which the fact that they're even here is amazing. And their fans are going to be some of the best fans at this tournament. I can tell you that right now. Not many people are going to go know much about them aside from maybe Bellegarde at Wolves, who is a good player, and they're going to play a really naive attacking style of football, so they might get beat about 7-8-0 in one of the games, but they're going to go for it and they're going to have a laugh and they're going to have fun. And I love that about them. And then rounding off the group, you got Scotland, who I imagine a lot of, Welsh Irish fans were going to be rooting for Scotland as our fellow Celtic brethren representing us at the tournament. Um, and surely the neutral is supporting Haiti and Scotland and not Brazil and Morocco in this group, right?
I would think so.
Yeah. And I think I know
You
we're
would
all
hope so.
we're all looking at Brazil Morocco, but Scotland Morocco and Scotland Brazil. That is going to be Scott McTominay going up against Gabriel and
Yeah, yeah.
Marquinhos. That's brilliant. So this group is one of my favorites in the entire tournament. I'm going to
It's
say
definitely one of my favorites. It's not the strongest, but it is definitely, I think, going to be one of the most exciting.
I'm going to go. A lot of people have been saying Morocco top, but I don't think Brazil have fallen off that much. I still
No,
think Brazil one, Morocco two,
yeah.
Scotland three, Haiti four.
Scotland three. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. But you wouldn't be in any way particularly shocked if Morocco do top the group because
mm.
they are more than capable of doing it.
Or if Scotland comes second, you never know. They could nick a result against Morocco.
Yeah, yeah. I thought their performance actually really impressed me against Denmark, given that they were the weaker side for large parts
Yeah.
of the game when they qualified. I think they showed a lot more resilience than we've seen from them in a long, long time. And I thought it just goes to show how much Scott McTominay has really come along, that his country's World Cup hopes rely on him, and he is looking like he can absolutely carry that burden with confidence.
Yeah. This is another great group. This is absolute cinema, this group, because I think so many people are sleeping on it. USA, it there was so much hope after the last window, before the March window. And then there's a sense of, all right, we're playing well, we're getting some decent results against South American teams and Asian teams. We're 6 games unbeaten or whatever. We'll play Belgium, we'll play Portugal. And it didn't end well. They got battered in both games. And there have to be concerns because although I would imagine a lot of US citizens are more worried about the geopolitical implications of this World Cup and of the presidency at the moment, and we're not going to get too much into that, but it's a whole other thing that is taking up way more importance at the moment than football. And I think that is actually a big issue with the support. I don't think it's necessarily a problem of the interest in the sport. I think it's like the interest in sport in general and the interest in rooting for an American team, I think is becoming harder for a lot of people.
Yeah, including half the nation,
Yeah. And
if not
and
slightly more than half the nation.
and so it's hard to talk about it just as a football thing, but you know, you got Mauricio Pochettino, who I think is a good manager. I don't think he's a great manager. I think he's a good manager. Um,
Mhm.
is he a good enough manager to elevate the USA to like a semi-final? No way.
Yeah, no, I
I
certainly
think
wouldn't
with
say so.
I think that if they get out the group, win a knockout game, get to the last 16, they're competitive against a Belgium or a Portugal or a Germany or whoever it is. I think that's what you got to hope for. Because even in this group, people are saying that the USA are going to top the group. I can't see it. I think Turkey are the best team in this group.
No, I think it has to be Turkey. Turkey have a far better squad and have a better proven record in recent tournaments.
And again, almost very close to making a semi-final at the Euros. They knocked out
Yeah,
Austria, who were
yeah.
everyone's sort of dark horse, and then they came very
Hmm.
close to knocking out the Netherlands. They needed 2 late goals, the Netherlands, to beat them. And you're looking at Arda Güler and Kenan Yildiz as a young duo. It's fantastic to watch. Hakan
hmm
Çalhanoğlu in the midfield is
Yeah,
one of the best
yeah,
midfielders in Europe
yeah.
still.
I
Um,
have to say, I was slightly disappointed by Arda Güler's performance against Bayern Munich earlier this week. I thought I was really looking forward to really seeing him step up against arguably the toughest opponent he'll face
yeah.
this year. But he had an excellent Euros, so he's
Mm.
proven he can do it with this Turkey team.
And he's up against Alexander Pavlovich and Joshua Kimmich, so it's like it's
Yeah,
hard to judge him too hard. That's a
yeah,
very good midfield.
yeah, yeah.
Paraguay are a very dangerous team, very good at set pieces, very defensively sound. They've beaten Brazil, Argentina, Ecuador, and Colombia in qualifying. Um, they sort of started qualifying absolutely rubbish, but the second half of the qualifying, they pretty much went unbeaten. So they're a very dangerous team in really good form. And that opener at SoFi Stadium, I, I don't want to say it, but if Paraguay nick that 1-0, that media panic is going to be absolutely insane because the US media have basically written off Paraguay already. Um, so that is one to watch out
I
for.
think it's
And
harsh.
Julio Enciso, who is not doing much at club level, is one of those players that really steps up at the international level and has done recently. So, and the Aussies were great at the last World Cup. They came very close to beating Argentina, or at least taking them to extra time.
Yeah,
In the last 16 when no one expected them to make out the group.
yeah.
It's a really
So
tough
you,
group. It's a
yeah, and
really
you
tough
know the
group.
Aussies will bring the vibe as well. They
Of
always do.
course. USA Aussies, that's a great matchup for the
Yeah,
two English
yeah.
speaking nations um, in Seattle. That's a great place to hold it as well.
Mhm.
But you know what I mean? I think this is a really tough group. Canada have got Qatar. That's a
Yeah.
gimme for me. Mexico have got South Africa. Maybe not a gimme, but it's a much easier game than Australia or Paraguay for me.
hmm
Um, I think this is tough. The USA could get knocked out in the groups.
Yeah, yeah, I am seriously considering putting them third here, simply because I just feel that first of all, the entire world, unfortunately, are going to be against them from match one. And I don't feel like we've really seen great performances under Pochettino yet. And I think this is a much tougher group than it look initially might seem. I think Turkey are an excellent team, and Paraguay and Australia will be tough games.
Best game in Group D, Ben. What you going? This is a tough one.
hmm I think I think it's got to be one of the US's games just because I think you always have to go with the home nation. I think there's an extra special atmosphere there. I'm going I'm going US Turkey just because it's the best team mixed with the best support that will be there for them.
I'm gonna go Turkey Paraguay, just because that is such a random World Cup on a Wednesday afternoon
Yeah,
that
yeah. You're not going to get it anywhere else.
that you're not going to get anywhere else. That
Yeah,
no
yeah.
no one's ever going to watch
That's a
Turkey
good choice.
Paraguay in any other context. Oh, this is definitely the hardest group to predict of all of them, I
hmm
think,
Yeah, yeah.
because there's
I
no
think the
obvious
US is
fourth
the one I'm
place
struggling
team.
with most.
Yeah,
No,
there's.
well, I think my most confident pick is actually, and I hate to say it, but putting Australia in fourth. I don't like it, but it's the one. Well, I'm thinking the two I'm most confident with is putting Turkey first and Australia fourth.
Yeah, that first USA game is massive, isn't it? I don't think the American fans
Yeah.
realize how big that game is because it
hmm
has to go well. They have to win, and they have to win not necessarily convincingly, but they have to win
hmm
well. Um,
Yeah, enough that the media doesn't crucify them.
yeah, exactly. Um, and then I'm gonna go Turkey 1, Paraguay 2, USA 3, Australia 4. I know that's controversial, but I
I'm
think
kind of thinking the same thing.
I think the
The one
USA
I'm
get
struggling most.
through as a third
Yeah,
place team, but
yeah.
I think they limp through. rather than.
That's the one that I'm struggling by far the most with.
I think
I
the Aussies
think,
could do it. I think the Aussies are good though. I like them, and I think they
yeah,
could pull a
yeah.
surprise. And no one expected them to beat Denmark at the last World Cup, and they did.
I don't know. I can't. I'm struggling with this one. I think that's what's so great about the World Cup is the best moments are the most surprising, and I think the events you just can't predict.